Okay, so here's something wild. Christy Martin, one of the most influential figures in women's boxing, didn't even start out wanting to be a boxer. She entered her first fight just to win $300. And that one decision, it changed everything.
That's incredible. It's like she stumbled into her destiny, but it wasn't exactly smooth sailing from there, was it? Her story is so much more than just a rise to fame in the ring.
Oh, not even close. Her life is this tangled mix of triumph and tragedy. She didn't just fight opponents in the ring. She fought societal expectations, an abusive relationship, and even her own identity. It's one of those stories where every victory comes with a cost.
And the movie Christy really dives into all of that, doesn't it? It starts in West Virginia, where she grew up in a coal mining family with deeply traditional values. Her mother, especially, had very rigid ideas about how Christy should live her life, including rejecting her relationship with another woman, Rosie.
Right, and that's such a pivotal part of her story. It's 1987, and Christy's already dealing with the weight of her family's expectations when she enters this tough woman competition. She's not in it for glory, she just needs the money. But she wins, and that's when everything changes. That's when Jim Martin enters the picture.
Jim Martin, her trainer, and later her husband. At first, he seems like this mentor who believes in her potential, who sees something in her that no one else does. But as their relationship develops, it becomes clear that his intentions aren't entirely selfless.
Not at all. Jim becomes this controlling, possessive figure in her life. He's not just her trainer, he's her manager, her husband, and, frankly, her jailer. They get married in 1991, when Christy is 22 and Jim is 47. That age gap alone is enough to raise questions. But it's the power dynamic that's really disturbing.
And it only gets worse from there. Jim's behavior becomes increasingly abusive, both emotionally and physically. He even threatens to kill her if she ever crosses him. What's heartbreaking is that Christy doesn't feel like she has anyone to turn to. Her parents think Jim is this great guy who's supporting her career, and they don't see the reality of what's happening behind closed doors.
That's one of the most gut-wrenching parts of her story. Here's this woman who's so strong and fearless in the ring, yet she's completely trapped in her personal life. It's a stark reminder that strength in one area doesn't always translate to another. And yet, through all of this, Christy keeps fighting, literally and figuratively.
That's what makes her story so compelling. She wasn't just a pioneer in women's boxing, she was a fighter in every sense of the word. She was competing at a time when women's boxing wasn't even on the map. She had to fight for recognition, for respect, and for her own survival.
And then there's Don King, the legendary boxing promoter. By the time Christy gets introduced to him, she's already made a name for herself. But working with King takes her career to the next level. He's the most prominent promoter in the sport, and he helps elevate her to a whole new level of fame.
But even as her professional life is soaring, her personal life is spiraling further out of control. Jim's behavior becomes more erratic, more abusive, and more dangerous. The tension in the movie is almost unbearable at times.
It really is. And Sydney Sweeney, who plays Christy, does an incredible job of capturing that tension. She's known for her glamorous Hollywood image, but here she strips all of that away. She gets down and dirty, and you can tell she's fully committed to doing justice to Christy's story.
Sweeney's performance is definitely a highlight, but I have to say, not all the casting choices worked for me. Ben Foster, who plays Jim, absolutely nails it. He's got this slimy, menacing energy that's perfect for the role. But Merritt Weaver, who plays Christy's mother, Joyce, didn't quite hit the mark for me. Her performance felt off, like she was miscast.
I felt the same way. It's tough when one part of a story doesn't quite land, especially when it's such an important relationship in the protagonist's life. But overall, I think the movie does a good job of capturing the essence of Christy's story. The production design, for example, really stood out to me. It pulls you into the working-class world of West Virginia in the 80s and 90s. You can feel the grit and the struggle of that environment.
Totally. And you have to give credit to the filmmakers for that. David McCode, who directed the movie, is known for his ability to capture raw, emotional stories. He co-wrote the screenplay with Mira Fulkes, and it's based on a story by Catherine Fugate. You can tell they put a lot of thought into how they wanted to tell Christy's story.
That said, I do think the script could have been tighter. The movie runs a little long, and there are moments where the pacing drags. It feels like they wanted to include every single detail of Christy's life, which is admirable, but it makes the movie feel a bit bloated.
I agree. There are definitely scenes that could have been trimmed or cut altogether. But even with those flaws, the story itself is so compelling that it keeps you engaged. At the end of the day, Christy is a story of triumph against incredible odds.
It's about a woman who refused to be defined by her circumstances, who fought literally and figuratively for her place in the world. It's not a perfect movie, but it's an important one. And for anyone who doesn't know Christy Martin's story, it's a powerful introduction to her life and legacy.
Well said. If nothing else, it's a reminder of the strength it takes to keep fighting, even when the odds are stacked against you. Christy Martin is a true trailblazer, and her story deserves to be told.
I'm going to give Christy a score of 7 out of 10.
You've been listening to Movies First.
Available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your favourite podcast player. You can also stream on demand at Bytes.com.
This has been another quality podcast production from Bytes.com.